All right, great to be with you. We're going to do the second part of 2 Samuel chapter 10 today, and definitely they're related. Last time we were talking about the decisions that we face in life, and we can have wisdom, we can make good decisions, or we can make very bad decisions. And either way, we're going to bear the fruit. The fruit is going to be a product of the decisions that we make. Now, let's just quickly review where we were, and we're going to see, because we left with a cliffhanger of how this is all going to end. So David, remember in chapter 9, had been showing a great kindness to a person who was lame and homeless, and he continued to show kindness. He's showing kindness even, if you will, to his enemies here, and he said that he's going to be kind, he's going to be loyal. To Hanan, he showed empathy with him because he had lost his father, and he wants to make peace. Now, remember, David had been defeating all of the enemies. Israel had been expanding, and he could have just come in with brute force and taken things over, but instead he has a hand of friendship. Instead, he's showing kindness, loyalty, mercy, empathy, even what Jesus said later about choosing not just to even love our friends, but to love our enemies. However, this young king, he sought counsel, which is a good thing, but he got bad counsel from, I would say, from evil men. And they said, no, David is not extending a hand of friendship. He's coming in to hurt you. He's not your friend. And as Proverbs 11:14 says, that there can be safety with good counsel, but not all counsel is good. And Proverbs 2 warns us about the ways of evil and men of perverted speech, and they forsake the right path, and they rejoice in doing evil. And these men give terrible counsel. They repay a hand of kindness, love, mercy, empathy, and loyalty. They repay it with evil. And not just a rejection, which they could have done. If you think about all the ends of the continuum, they could have accepted the kindness, which would have been the best. They could have rejected it, but actually they repaid it by incredibly insulting and mistreating these men. They took their manhood away. They shaved off half their beard. They cut away their garments. They exposed their nakedness. And the king himself was this example of a lemming, a little rodent that just follows the crowd instead of having the courage to make his own decisions. And when they did this to these men, they were doing it to David. They were the ambassadors. Just like you do things to American representatives, you're doing it to America. It was an insulting thing. It was an act of war. They brought it upon themselves. Now, David continued to make good choices. He chose kindness to these men. He didn't rebuke them. He said, I want you to, you're ashamed. I want you to go here and get restored. Let your beards grow back and then return. So he chose here. He could have rebuked these men. He could have killed these men. But he showed them kindness as well. So these people who could have been friends of David became a stench to them. And they tried in the flesh to hire mercenaries to join them. But instead, they're going to face David, they're going to face Israel, they're going to face the mighty men, and ultimately, they're going to face God in this decision. And that was the cliffhanger in which we left off. And we're going to see the rest of the story. Now, as we pick up and continue in 2 Samuel chapter 10, we see that Joab is back. Now, Joab was a mighty general of David. He was a mighty man of war. But he saw the battle was set against him. Not just in the front, not just in the rear, but both in the front and in the rear. The battle was on all sides. But he chose some of the best men of Israel, and he arrayed them against the Syrians. And the rest of his men he put in the charge of Abishai, his brother. And he arrayed them against the Ammonites. And he said, if the Syrians are too strong for me, then you shall help me. But if the Ammonites are too strong for you, then I will come and help you. So they're in the right here. So kind of covered a lot of ground here. But they're facing a righteous battle. And sometimes we have to face battle. And you may feel this way at times. You may feel like you're surrounded on all sides. You got no relief. You look to the front, there's a battle. You look to the rear, there's a battle. Maybe you look to the sides, there's a battle. That can be daunting. I think these are pictures for us. I don't think many of us are actual soldiers today, but we face the battles nonetheless. Now, one way to face a battle, whether you're a soldier or whether you're just a friend, a family member, a brother or sister in Christ, we help each other. There's times you need to get the help, and not be alone. We need people to stand with us. Sometimes they need to stand with us in the spirit. Sometimes they need to stand with us in practical ways and physically help us. There's times you need to receive it. When you need help, you receive the help. And then there's going to be other times. Sometimes it's too strong for you, so you need somebody to help you. But sometimes it's strong for others, and you need to be that person who comes alongside and stands and gives the aid. We are not alone. We help one another. There's times that we're stronger than the battle. There's times the battle may feel overwhelming for us. I say be willing to receive it, the help, be willing to give it. Give help, receive help. We're in community. We should be in community with one another. And then this is a great verse to remember. As a great general, it's not just about muscles or technology, or the right arrows in their case, or whatever it may be. But he said this, be of good courage, and let us be courageous for our people and for the cities of our God, and may the Lord do what seems good to him. I've been studying some about the providence of God, whether it's for nations or individuals. And if we would understand things that, the old children's song, he's got the whole world in his hands. If we're right with God and we're in his hands, then we can be of good courage, whatever the battle may be. If you are facing that battle today, it could be a health battle, it could be a financial battle, could be some incredible spiritual battle you're going through. I say to you today, as he did, be of good courage. Now, he said it when they were on the front. He said it when they were in the rear. It looked pretty bad. I don't know how it looks for you today. Maybe it looks bad, but I say to you, be of courage. Be of good courage. Be courageous. Understand, God has this. It may be too great for you. The battle may be too big. But let the Lord handle it. This brings me back to a passage from the first book of Samuel, 17:47. That all this assembly may know that the Lord saved not with sword and spear, but the battle is the Lord's. And whatever you have, I say the battle is the Lord's. If you need that word today to be courageous, be courageous. Be encouraged today. So Joab and the people who were with him drew near to battle against the Syrians. And they fled before him. And when the Ammonites saw that the Syrians fled, they likewise fled before Abishai and entered the city. And then Joab returned from fighting against the Ammonites and came to Jerusalem. Now, the first step is to face the battle. You put your faith into action. You don't run from it. No, you face it. As David faced Goliath. As the battles are before you, you look them in the eye. You're of good courage. You face it. But as for the enemy, remember, they were in the wrong. They were the ones that started this. They were the ones that made the bad decisions. And they're the ones that are going to bear the fruit of it. The flesh failed them. Their mercenaries failed them. They are suffering here, and it's coming to pass what it was told in Deuteronomy 28:7. I love this verse. Maybe it's a good one for you to claim today. The Lord will cause your enemies who rise against you to be defeated before you. They shall come out against you one way and flee before you 7 ways. Will you remember that verse when you face the battle? If you're on the Lord's side, if you're making those good decisions, if you're walking on the right path, the enemy may come to the front and the rear, but they can flee 7 different ways. And the Syrians saw they had been defeated. Really, they just ran away. But they gathered themselves together, and Hadadezer sent and brought out the Syrians who were beyond the Euphrates. They came to Helam with Shobach, the commander of the army of Hadadezer, in their head. When it was told David, he gathered all Israel together, and he crossed the Jordan and came to Helam. Again, he didn't run from it, faced it head on. And so these Syrians then arrayed themselves against David and fought with him. You think the battle's over. You think it's over. But the enemy comes back again. Another season. Isn't it awful when you think you're done with something? Like, I'm done with that. I'm done with whatever it may be, and then it comes back. Not fun. You face the battle again. You still have your courage. But look what happens again. The Syrians led before Israel again. And David killed of the Syrians the men of 700 chariots, 40,000 horsemen. He wounded Shobach, the commander of their army, so he died there. And when all the kings who were servants of Hadadezer saw that they had been defeated by Israel, they made peace with Israel and became subject to them. So the Syrians were afraid to save the Ammonites anymore. What is the moral of this story? Let's put the entirety of chapter 10 together. They were so foolish. All this loss, these loss of chariots, the loss of the men, the wounded, the death, it was all absolutely, completely, and totally unnecessary. King David offered them peace. He offered them the hand of friendship, and they returned it with an insult. They brought the war, they brought the tragedy, they brought the problems upon themselves. And they bore the fruit of their bad decisions. Have you ever borne the fruit of bad decisions in your life? I have. I think we all have. Finally, they're coming to peace. On a broader level, this is us with God. He offers us a hand of friendship. He offers us His love. He offers us peace. But sometimes people are foolish. They insult God. They make war with Him unnecessarily, when all God wants to do is for us to come in peace. I hope you'll receive the peace. Now, there's a second lesson beyond the fruit of bad decisions. The second lesson is in facing these battles. Sometimes even on the right path. You're walking with God, but you still got to face a battle. You still got to face a challenge. You still got to face a struggle. I hope you'll remember some of our passage today. To be of good courage. To remember that promise from Deuteronomy. To see what happened here. To face your battle with good courage. To trust that the battle is the Lord's. And I hope and pray as you face these battles, is to the best of your ability you're walking with God, that your enemy will flee from you 7 ways, and that God will grant you a great victory. I hope you'll think about this passage today and think about how you can apply it to your life.